1, 2, 3. We are not live, but we are alive, Gary. Hello, lovely Gary.
Hello, Rachel. How are you?
Less of a delay there. I'm very well, thank you. Just for our YouTube viewers, let's say what we're doing. We're going to be making lovely little Easter chicks. Yes, we are. But out of a sponge. I know. Don't worry, we're not moulding chicks out of a sponge. We're using it to paint with. So sponge painting coming up in a few moments' time, which is right up my street, Gary. You know, I love anything to do with printing. Anything that brings back the child within me, I'm happy. So lovely YouTuber, if you would like to skip ahead and watch that exercise, of course, you can. We would also like it if you would give us a thumbs up. Make sure you give the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you're notified when we load content. We do load these tea time tutorials twice a month on a Friday, and then in between is the podcast Breaking the Block. So lots to see on the channel. But of course, if you do like and subscribe and hit bells and make comments, it helps us to get our content out to the algorithm. And you never know, there might be someone out there who is desperate to cut up their kitchen sponge. So you can go straight there now if you would like to go to the exercise. But Gary and I always have a little chat with a little mindfulness technique sometimes that can help you if you're stressing out. And I have got a great one today. So, Gary. Now, I have put this out on my Instagram, on the Breaking the Blocks Instagram recently as a little sort of piece to camera, but I am doing it on here. And I thought for anybody finding us on here, it's a really useful little technique. So, you know, when you are down the rabbit hole and you are stressing and you have all of these thoughts in your head and you cannot get these thoughts out of your head and you feel like your head is bursting and you've got all of these words and faces and people and things and da-da-da. And it's like, so you're wind up like a coil. When that happens, visualize that you've got a pin in your hand and you literally pop and you pop the bubble, which is holding all of those words. And then you see all of these words and just imagine them trickling down. And suddenly the pressure has gone because the bubble that was containing all those words, that was keeping it like this in your head, is now evaporated.
That sounds a really good idea, actually. Not a visualization. I'm a big fan of visualization for lots of things. So yeah, if you can visualize just like getting rid of that. A bit like when I always say about my yoga teacher said, take those thoughts and put them to the back of your mind. So they're still there, but that with the popping of the pin, they're gone completely.
Yes, because they're all on the floor now. They're on the floor. And then you have to go to the effort of picking them all back up again. And who wants to do that, quite frankly? So go get the vacuum, suck them up and get rid of them. Yeah, I think those visualizations really do work. Yeah, so there you go. Pop the bubble. Now, of course, another thing that you could do, Gary, is do some painting. That is a great way to get rid of all of these horrible thoughts. Chill out, isn't it, to relax yourself? Because I love anything to do with printing. My favorite is still chucking those marbles about, but anything to do with printing, I love it. So let's bring Gary's hands in and then we can go through.
Okay, bring hands in. Let's do hands. All right. I've gone for a sort of a very spring-like theme, even maybe if you celebrate Easter, an Easter theme. And you know, I troll through looking through things online and that, and I saw people doing these, like these little chicks and also the egg. So I'm going to do a chicks and eggs. So we're going to just have a look at using, it's a printing method for both the things. And in fact, if you followed any of my other tutorials, when we go to do the egg, you'll go, aha, that's the same as doing that. So we'll go back to something that we've done before. Okay, what do we need to do these chicks? We need, well, first of all, get yourself a nice piece of paper. Now, the idea is that you could just do this as fun on a piece of paper. They could become greetings cards. So you might have a card that you could, it's already sort of that sort of size that you could paint on, or you could then cut these out and put them onto greetings cards or whatever. But a nice piece of paper. I'm using just, this is a nice sort of quality cartridge paper. That's what I use. But whatever you, as always, I say, whatever you've got to hand, you can use. So I'll do that. What else do you need? Well, importantly, for the printing, in fact, you're going to just use a bit of sponge. This is, well, it was much bigger than this because I've cut it up, but literally with a pair of scissors, you're just going to use the sponge from this just to use for printing. So you can cut it with scissors. Take care that you don't cut yourself at the same time, but you're just going to need like a small little section, a little square of it. So you can just use a square of it roughly about that size so that you can dab into some paint and you can do some printing. So when you're going to do some printing, so you either on a plate, or here I've got a little tray here, and I've done that little thing where I've put some damp kitchen paper underneath, kitchen paper, and then a bit of baking parchment on the top. So I've got my little palette for painting on. So I've got yellow. So yellow, you could use watercolor paint, or you could use some watered down acrylic paint. So I've got some, this one, what's this one color? This is cadmium yellow. And then I've got yellow ochre. So a couple of like tones of yellow work quite nice. I'm just going to, while I've got this here, I'm just going to put a little, I mean, literally, you don't need much because you're going to water it down. It's just, you can barely see that. It's a little dot there and a little dot there, like that. As I said, you can use some watercolor paints as well. And we might come in with these, especially the orange. So we're going to have some little orange beads. What else do we need? Biro. So a nice little biro that's really just for dots for eyes and for drawing in some legs and some feet. A pencil. You could use pencil. I just thought maybe just scribble around the egg. Use that. What else we got? Oh, you know, I like to do a spritz. So I've got my little spritz thing here. Don't worry if you haven't got one of these spritz. It just, when you print with, especially when we do the egg shape, you'll find that that just helps it work a little bit better. But I'll demonstrate that. The egg, unbelievably, is my old favorite, the toilet tube, or, you know, kitchen roll. And we're just going to bend that into like an egg shape. Can you see, if I hold that up, can you see how I've made that into like an egg shape? Really easy to manipulate. And it makes for a great print. So you can print off that. A couple of jam jars of water. You can see that I've been practicing. So mine's already gone a bit, I've got a yellow and a pink one, but, you know, whatever jam jars you've got. And a couple of some brushes. I've just got like these more round brushes. I've got a square one there, but those sort of roundish brushes, just to sort of manipulate some of the paint when we need to. Okay, I'm ready to go. I'm going to put this all by the side of me. And we're ready. Are you ready there, Rachel?
Ready.
Are you all right?
I am so ready.
You're ready. You're ready. Right. Okay. Let's just make sure I've got a nice clean piece of paper. All right. So chicks, let's have a look. I'm going to have it in front of me so I can see what's it. So I'm just going to do a couple of chicks with one egg. You could fill the page up with chicks later on, but just have a little practice. So with a little bit of sponge here, what I would say is, if you can, just slightly damp the sponge. So it's slightly damp. So maybe dip it into your jam jar of water or in a little pot of dish, just so it's slightly damp. Squeeze it out. You don't want it ringing with wet. And always, you know, I say have a bit of kitchen roll by the side of you as well, because you can always just either dab up some extra paint that you don't need from there. Now on my little palette to the side here, let me get that, if I can get that into shot so you can see what I'm doing. Right. So I'm going to mix up some yellow paint to start with. So you don't want it really thick and dry. You want it slightly watery so that you can print with it. So it's just a bit easier and it will smudge a little bit better. I'm not spraying at this moment. I'm not spraying with the water. It's just on the dry paper. So think about chick shape. So think about like almost like circles, circle for the head, circle for the body. But the circle doesn't. So for instance, we could just do like a little dab there. Say that's its head, and then you could just do like just there for body. So we've got head, body. That's a chick looking directly at you. But what about a chick with its head's down here? So it's pecking on the ground, and maybe its body's up here somewhere, like there. So there's the body. It's a slightly bigger rounder for the body, like that. So you could just put that like so. I'm going to put this bit of sponge down now. So I'm going to just find one of my bigger brushes. And in fact, while this paint is still wet, I'm just going to use, you could either add a little bit of orange, tint of orange, or a little bit of ochre now. And you're just going to really just round, just tickle in. That's a good word, tickle in a little bit of paint. Sort of think about around the edge of the belly. So here, my chick is looking down. This is the head, under the belly. I'm just putting a little bit of paint under there. Then I'm going to think with this paintbrush like this. So you see, I've got a nice round paper. I'm just going to think of like little tail feathers. So think about here, the tail sort of going up. So I'm just going to do a few little flicks like that up there. Maybe on this little chick, we've got a couple of little feathers sticking up the top there, at the top of his head. We might have one at the bottom, maybe one or two there at the bottom, like so. So we've just got that. Okay. I am going to say at this moment, I'm going to dry it with my hairdryer. But you might just walk away, go make yourself a cup of tea while it just dries, especially if it's in a sunny windowsill or on a warm, somewhere warm, and it will just dry. Be careful when you do dry it that it doesn't blow everywhere. You know, when it blows the paint everywhere. So that's why I always have my little bit of tissue here. If I'm finding that the paint is starting to sort of blow off in different direction, it doesn't, you know, it's not the end of the world, but you don't want it to go, you don't want to distort it too much because you've already got this sort of like nice loose shape there. So I'm just going to dry this off. Okay, I'll bring this up to camera so you can see. So it's the sort of shapes. Again, if we talk about shapes, so it's sort of a blob. Here, this is head. I've done a couple of little feathers on the top of his head, slightly larger. So this is a chick that's looking towards you, and a few little tail feathers coming outside there. Here, the chick's facing downwards, so the head's coming down, little feathers up there, and this is sort of the main bit of the body. Okay. No, it doesn't look like it's not as tight yet because you haven't done any lines on it, haven't done any drawing or anything like that on it as yet. Okay, now I'm going to what I'm going to do is I'm going to just get some orange. So you might have orange. It could be in a acrylic paint, or it could be in a watercolor paint. This is that nice Inktense paint, which is really nice and quite strong. I'm going to pick up a nice bit of orange just on the brush itself, not too much, to make sure I've got a bit. I always like test it, making sure that it's still doing what it says. And we're just going to do tiny little V, just do a little V, just a little V. Can you just about see that? There's a little V there. And then here, remember that I'm doing, my beak is going to be down here. So a little V down there. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to just slightly wash out that brush. And I'm just literally, I'm not going to pick up orange this time. I'm just going to literally pick up a little bit of the paint on my palette. So a little bit of the sort of the ochre color on the end, just with that little bit of the brush. And I'm just going to just quickly just a couple of little legs. And I don't know if you can barely see that. There you are. So it's just a couple of little, just straight legs. Think about where the leg's going to be down here, like so. A couple of little, just like that. Okay. I might just, if I want to add a little bit more, you know, if you think, oh, I just have a little bit more orange, right, maybe around the belly or anything like, you can always add that on. Remember, with watercolors or any of the like watered down acrylics, you can layer up and add more color to it as you go along. That's fine. Now, I might just give that a quick, I'm going to give that a quick dry because it's still a bit wet at the moment. There you are. Rachel, how are you doing?
Well, yes, I'm doing.
You're doing.
I'm doing.
As I said, they don't at the moment. They like not looking. You're just going to add, so you're going to add character to them now. So it's about, again, breaking these down into different stages. So now with a biro or with this is just one of those permanent marker pens, you're just going to actually just pop in an eye. So an eye or two eyes. So if the chick is looking down here, you're only going to see it on profile, one eye. On here, you're going to see two little eyes because he's looking right at you like that. The two little eyes, really easy. Two little eyes like that. Next, I've got the pen in the hand. Just drawing the legs. So the legs are literally like that. Just imagine stick legs. So just imagine stick legs like that. And then just the little feet coming out like so. So think about the direction of the feet as they're coming out like that. So I'm just drawing them literally like that. Here, I quite like the feet. They can be slightly over large, make the feet nice and large, because they are, if you look at a little chick, they're quite sort of gangly, you know, quite gangly as they are. And then you're literally just going to do some very loose marks for maybe a suggestion of a wing, some tail feathers, or even some head feathers. So I'm going to just, so here on the side of the, so here I'll just show you, look, I'm just drawing the line, really, really simple, just a suggestion of the wing. Tail feather, so in the tail feathers, we're just going to do something. If I bring that up and you can see, there we are, just really, really easy, quick little tail feathers like that. Can move over to the other little character here and he can have some little feathers on the top of his head. He's got some tail feathers here. And I might just put a little wing on the side there so you can just have a little look. So just a suggestion. So a bit like, you know, those Roald Dahl illustrations of his books, very similar to how that illustrator, now who was the illustrator? We're going to need to look this up, Rachel, the illustrator for those books, because they were lovely, the person that did those.
Yeah, I don't
really
know who that was. I don't know, we'll have to look it up.
Yes. Okay, right. So have you drawn in some lines, Rachel?
Yes, yes, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Okay.
Okay. Right now, so we've got 2 chicks. I think Rachel's got more than 2. I think she's got several chicks.
Got 3.
You got 3 chicks, good. Right, so we're just going to, I think about a stronger color for the egg. So think about a nice sort of Easter egg as sort of a stronger color. I'm going to mix up this here. Just what color is this? I know you'll say, well, what color are you using, Gary? This is primary magenta. And again, as you can see, and I think it's a really good example of the paints that I got. Yes, Winsor and Newton, a really good brand. But then this, Essentials, this isn't this isn't a branded. This is quite, I found this in my hardware store, and it just works just as well. So you don't have, a good point is you don't have to buy expensive materials to be able to create your art at home, not at all. So, right, the other thing is you need toilet roll. So your toilet roll, you're going to bend your toilet roll into like an egg shape. So leave one end nice and round, and then just almost like just pinch like that, like so. And you'll get a nice egg shape. I mean, you can paint these in by hand, but it's quite nice to print them in. So you get like, you see, I've got like a nice sort of like an eggy shape there, just sort of a roundish shape. And then what I want to do is you're just going to, wherever you're going to print the egg or eggs, several eggs, I would either just slightly damp the page or just use, this water spritzer and just spritz where you're going to print. Because this is made from cardboard, it actually picks up this wet paint really, really well. So you're just going to put it in the dish or on the plate, wherever you've got it. You're going to get some nice ink or some paint on the bottom of it. And then you're going to just push your egg shape down. So you actually now have got the outline of an egg there. Now with a paintbrush that you've just slightly washed off, this could be the same way, you're going to drag that paint in towards the center with a wet paintbrush. And you can, and again, you don't have to fill the whole egg in. You can leave some white, that's okay. You can, if it's got too watery, remember you can always just lift some of the paint out with a piece of tissue. If you want to add a little bit more darker definition, you can just drag a little bit more in, just tickle it in. And so you can get a little bit more in. Again, when you're happy with your egg so far, you can just then just give it a dry with a hairdryer. Here we go. Just going to just pick up this slightly, couple of 2 little pools of paint there. So there's your egg. The other thing you do, you can take a colored pencil. This one's like a pinky red color, and you could just almost like just go around the outside really, really quickly. Don't worry if it goes over, so you just go round and round and round like that. And that just defines the egg a little bit. And of course, the other thing we can do is always quite like to do, and I know Rachel's really picked up this idea from me, is you could just flick a little bit of the colored paint, maybe the yellow paint, just over the top with some splats, just to add a little bit more of an interest definition to the drawing like that. So I think you can see that as an illustration like that. Okay, how are we done, Rachel?
Oh, really good.
You like it?
I'm very happy. I'm not finished yet, though.
Okay, carry on then.
Carrying on. Can we just little grasses or something? Or nest? What about a nest?
You could do a nest. So you could have a nest on the ground. So if you want to do a nest, let me get a nice paintbrush. I think the nest would be much more sort of flicky actions with a brush. So if you're going to pick up, let's do a nest. Let's just check this brown in. Let's just see what this brown looks like. Is that brownie black? Yeah, I think that's brown. Yeah. And again, just flicky actions of a nest. That looks very much like a heron's nest to me, but I think it's that good or bad. You could dry that off as well. you could add on. So if you wanted to continue layering up, you could add if once you've dried it once, you can add some more of the same color over the top to make it look slightly darker. So you're layering, or you could use, again, you could find a pencil or a marker pen or something like that. And then you could just do, if I can find a brown in my stack of pencils here, there's a brown. No, there's a brown. Right. And then you could just, so just like stabby, crisscrossy. I like the nest, the addition of the nest. Sorry, Sam.
Okay, let me bring in my spotlight.
Oh, there we are. Yes. Oh, I like your characters.
The speckles were too heavy. Oh, look, I've got too heavy on his little face there. But never
No,
mind.
it doesn't matter. That's fine. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Look, he was bending right over there. He's getting over that egg. He's getting in there. Yes. But I love it. I've really enjoyed that. Yeah, just like you said, creating those little characters. But do you want to see what I use as my egg? So
yes, what did you use?
Yeah, well, I didn't have a kitchen roll. So there were, I walked around the house, the kitchen. There were so many things that I could use. For example, I found a little milk jug thing, like one of those, you know.
Oh, yeah.
For tea and coffee. So I thought, well, I could actually use that shape.
Yeah.
I also found a cleaning product, and underneath it looks like that.
Yes.
That's a bit egg shapey, but it was a bit narrow. It's a bit narrow. So what I ended up using was actually an egg cup, which on the top looks like that, right?
Right.
At the bottom, it was.
Oh, ideal.
So
ideal.
I just literally I painted over that with the red, and then just pressed, as you can see.
That worked perfectly.
It worked absolutely.
You know, once you start, and like you say, you really do enjoy the printing element of art making and that. When you look around, especially in the kitchen and things like that, there are so many bits and pieces in the cutlery drawer, in the cupboards, with, you know, your china and everything like that, that things you can print with, that it's not going to hurt the thing because you can wipe it off afterwards. But it's lovely to be able to see what marks and what shapes that you can get just with stuff lying around the home. Really wonderful.
Yeah. I'm just going to show off my whole page, which you couldn't see the whole page because so there we are, look.
Oh, yes. I love the colours. Again, you're wearing that colour. You're wearing that lovely pink colour. But it works really well. They complement each other, don't they? The pink with the like bright yellow and everything look really, really nice.
And I'm really pleased with this bit of shading I've managed to get on these eggs, because I've always struggled with that. And that's kind of coming.
Sometimes it's luck than judgment. Sometimes it just goes just right. The other thing you can do, if you find like, oh, I just want to have that highlight of white, bit of kitchen roll, while it's still wet, you just lift it off, and you'll be able to then probably get a whole little bit of white appear by just by touching it with a bit of kitchen roll. That usually helps as well.
Exactly. Yeah, no, that was great. And I did use the acrylics and some water paint. So I used all sorts of different things there, but just fun. I could have sat and created those characters for ages. So
you could be, you know, like leading up to Christmas, like Christmas, not Christmas, Easter.
Please don't raise it. This year's going fast enough already.
No, we don't want to go any faster. We are only at Easter. You could have a little production line going. So you could have lots of little squares that you're ready to either stick on cards or give to people, or do as little tags. You know, might be quite nice to give someone a little Easter gift with a little one of these as a little tag coming off it with a little message for Easter, nice message. But you could have a little production line going. So you could do all the sponging first of all, and then you could do all the little bits of the wings and the tail feathers and the beaks and that, and then you could do all the eggs as well. So you could have a little production line going and make loads of them, or just make one for yourself. Just have a bit of fun like you did.
Exactly. I love the idea. It's very nice. That's a really good one. So thank you for bringing that lesson to me today. Lovely, Gary.
You're welcome.
So YouTuber person, if you have enjoyed, please give us a thumbs up. That would be lovely. And of course, tag us in on any little tricks that you make on our social media. All the details are below on how you can follow both of us, Gary and Crafty Monkeys. And we'd love to see what you have made. And of course, if you want to do some more playing, we have got, it's heading towards 100 videos in our tea time tutorials. So go and check out all of those, because there are so many different ones for you to play with. But until next time, we will see you in a couple of weeks for another episode of, I was going to say Breaking the Blocks. Another episode of Tea Time Tutorials. Lovely. Okay, have a great week or day, everybody. And thank you so much to Gary, as always. Bye-bye.
Bye.